Dear viewers, we are happy to welcome you on the international discussion dedicated to the global conference which took place on the 4th of December and was called Global Crisis: Time for the Truth.
Yes, greetings. This global conference was organized by volunteers from 180 countries. It was simultaneously interpreted also by volunteers into more than 100 languages. And these discussions were about, let's say, the vital topics that affect nearly everyone living on our planet today. And as a result, or as a follow-up of this conference, the volunteers decided to organize these discussion tables where we invite our dear guests who participated on the conference or who basically were helping us gathering some facts so that we can cover also the topics that didn't have the chance to be discussed on the conference. And so today our dear guests with us are Dr. Jeff Masters. He's a PhD. Dr. Jeff Masters worked as a hurricane scientist with NOAA Hurricane Hunters. He's a co-founder of the Weather Underground and a founding board member of the Climate Science Legal Defense Fund from the United States. And our second guest is Aftab Alam. He's a student of political science and international relations from Pakistan. So welcome, and we can begin.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And we would like to start from talking about your impressions, your feedbacks about the conference. So maybe you, Dr. Masters, would like to share your impressions, would like to share your thoughts about the importance of the topics raised on this conference.
Yeah, certainly the number of extreme weather events we've seen this year in 2021 have really added some urgency to understanding what's going on and to start putting together solutions to what needs to be done. It's clear now that we're in a totally new climate. I mean, the climate of the 21st century is so different than the climate of the 20th century that we're going to have trouble adapting. I mean, we designed our infrastructure to deal with a climate that no longer exists. And now we're getting much heavier precipitation events like we saw in Europe this summer with the catastrophic flooding we had there. China had its third most expensive flood on record this year. In the United States, we had a Hurricane Ida, which generated just incredible flooding in New York City that we've never seen before. So all of these flood events tell us that we're in a new climate. Heavy precipitation events are going to continue to intensify and cause trouble in our transportation sector, our agriculture sector. And at the same time, when it doesn't happen to be raining, when you don't have those low pressure systems impacting you, the resulting heat waves and droughts that are going to be occurring are going to be more intense. Heat is energy, and energy in the form of heat will serve to make your droughts more intense and your heat waves more intense. And energy in the form of heat over the oceans will evaporate more water from the oceans to generate heavier rainfall events. So we kind of get the worst of both worlds. I mean, a warmer climate is a more energetic climate. And we're seeing that play out with the extreme weather disasters that we saw in 2021, both heat waves, droughts, and floods.
Well, thank you. This is, I would say, a great sum up of the events that we are facing today, and they have been voiced also on the conference, and we are going to touch upon these in more details later on. And I would also like to ask Aftab. Aftab, you have been actively participating in preparation of the conference and helped with translation of the videos. Can you also share your thoughts and understandings from the conference, please? Thank you.
First of all, I'm very thankful to the entire guest members, participant, and all of the people being a student of international relation and international politics, in my career from my graduation to PhD study, this is the first conference which I have attended. And I share all of the activities and translation with my people in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And the people appreciate it, that because the creative society is the society which think about these problems which in the entire world, not the developing country, but also developed countries also facing nowadays. And just a few days ago, some schools and colleges and universities were the students were stopped from the school because the government announced that it is very difficult for the students and for the university and college students to come to university because of a huge smog in the city of Lahore in Pakistan. So it affects not only the people, but the students also are more affected by that. So for the last 10 or 15 days, the school is not closed in Pakistan because of the pandemic, Corona, but because of the climate issue. So in near future, it is going to dangerous more, and especially in developing countries. They are already facing different types of problems, the problems of terrorism, corruption, governmental structure, so many things. But the climate change, it is a disaster for the developing countries. And recently, I'm also working research on the transboundary waters between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And this is also in near future, it's a big problem for the people of Pakistan and Afghanistan because for the last 100 years they are using the water of the Kabul water, the river Kabul water, but without any agreement. And it's very much difficult because of the climate issue that how they will resolve the issue, because on both sides the people need water. And they for fresh drinking water and so many, but it's very much difficult for the government now because of the climate issue, that how we can resolve the issue, because on both sides the people need water, and this is the only river which connects Pakistan and Afghanistan. So that's why the conference, my experience, the creative society done a lot. And it is a great honor for me, being a student of international relations and being a student of a developing country, Pakistan, that I can participate in this conference, and I share the views of the world in my Pashto language with my people. And thank you so much for your appreciation and your help.
Thank you so much, Aftab. You know, it is very important for every person who already see this climate changes, who already know all these things that affects us, without, you know, just with any circumstance we live in. It doesn't matter in what country and so on. So we all can see these consequences. And we can feel how it affects us. But actually, we would like to speak a bit more, to talk a bit more about the current situation in the world. And we know that, unfortunately, on the 10th of December, a tornado hit the 8 states of North America, which brought huge destruction and claimed the lives of dozens of people, and especially was damaged the state of Kentucky. It was, you know, just the hardest hit for it. And we know that it is the strongest hurricane in the history of the state. So please, dear Dr. Masters, could you outline the current situation as a specialist and as a person?
Yeah, sure. I was watching the storm Friday, and in my 40 years as a meteorologist, there aren't too many things that shock me, but that was definitely a shocking event, because the tornado that did the most damage there stayed on the ground for as long as we've ever seen a tornado do. I mean, usually they only last a minute or two. This one was on the ground for over 2 hours. And at that time, it was at peak strength pretty much the whole time. So it was doing catastrophic destruction. And we can see these sorts of storms in the spring, which is tornado season, but to see it in December, that was really, really astounding to me, because it's wintertime and normally you don't have the energy in the atmosphere needed to generate a tornado in the winter. So that really speaks to how climate change has changed the environment in which all weather forms. I mean, it didn't used to be you could get a violent tornado in December like this, but now you can. So tornado season lasts all year long, not just in the spring. And that creates a lot of problems which our society is not designed for. In particular, this tornado happened at night. I mean, in December, you've got very short days and long nights, and people are much more vulnerable to a tornado at night because they don't see it coming. They might be asleep. And so the death tolls are always much higher during wintertime tornadoes. So it's simply a stunning weather event that I was very surprised to see and alarmed that this is the kind of thing that maybe we're going to see a lot more of in the future.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And can I also ask a question? So you've been following these events. How does the government and people deal with these sort of events? Are they ready? Is the government or organizations ready to really help people, or are the people left alone to help themselves? How do you see?
Certainly in the few days after the disaster, there's a lot of help available. This is a very high profile event, so a lot of attention is on it. The president is coming today to visit the affected area, so there will be a lot of resources brought to bear. The fact it happened in December is fortunate in a way because there aren't that many other natural disasters to compete with. I mean, the summertime is usually when you have major natural disasters in our country because you have hurricanes and floods, and tornadoes are all active during that time. So there will be a lot of help for these people. And it's unfortunate it's happened in winter here because the requirements for shelter are so extreme when it's cold out. But I do think that the response is going to be pretty much in line with what is required.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, and also would like to ask Aftab the same question. If we look at, let's say, these disasters happening in other countries, and what is your opinion? Are the governments ready to help people during the time of these natural disasters, and what solutions are taken elsewhere?
Yes, mostly the government are working to contain this word disasters, but it depends on the policies of the government, that what kind of policy they are adopting to contain. Because if you look to the entire scenario of the world, so the developing countries of the South African region, the South Asian region, all of these states are very much vulnerable to the global climate change. But when you compare their economic position with that of the developed world, so how the government alone can contain the developing countries, their governments, how they can contain this huge disaster. So it's difficult for them to contain this alone. Every day there are some cases in the news and in different research journals, the professors, and they are publishing about the disasters in the South Asian or in developing countries. So for that purpose, it needs a united policy, which is not for a particular, but the whole world states. They combine and they make a policy for this to contain these disasters in near future. And one state are alone, it's difficult for one state to contain such a huge disaster, because it's not the problem of a particular state, it's the problem of world, it's problem of this planet, it's the problem of this universe. So to control this, it is important that the entire world government machineries, they are combined, and they can, just like United Nations and the forum of that they can unite and make a organization for the climate to contain the climate issues.
Yes, thank you so much. You know, it is true that we really need to be all united. And when we are talking about politicians and some big international organizations, we surely wait something from them always. We wait some solutions, and we are waiting for maybe for them to unite, to be more united. But we also understand that there are the same people as all of us. And we all need to unite, even for those politicians to unite. It is us, the whole humanity, let's say, that we need to, we need to show our necessity of being united. We need to start uniting between every one of us. So this is why we are organizing these conferences, not only to show these terrible things that are happening in our world, but to give the solution, and the solution that comes from people now. Yes, that it is not like someone formed it and tries to impose it or something like that. This is what really people came to in this search of the solution. And we know that today still there are some people that they just first of all, they just don't know what is happening in the world, because we can't see everything on our screens of our televisions and so on, and it is hard to know what is really going on. And also this is the aim of this conferences that people are organizing today, all these volunteers from the whole world, to show the truth. And we understand that there are lots of consequences that we don't see of this climate crisis. Yes, there are people that, who can say that, well, I don't see it in my let's say city, for example. I don't see it in my home. I'm okay, and I don't think that it is something outstanding or something just abnormal. But actually we can talk about the consequences, and we already can tell everyone that this really affects everyone. We found the article of Dr. Masters on December the 6th. You wrote about the global food prices, and you said that that extreme weather is a key factor in high food prices. Could you please extend a bit on the topic to show people that it really concerns and affects everyone, and we should be aware of it?
Certainly. The global food situation is such that every year we make more food than the previous year, pretty much. Over the past 60 years, agricultural technology has really advanced due to new strains of grains that have been developed that are more productive, improvements in fertilizer use, pesticide use, irrigation. The amount of food that's harvested this year is going to set a record. It's about 1% higher than last year. And that is needed because the global population is increasing. But at some point, we're meeting up against a lot of issues here, because more people are eating meat now, particularly in China, which drives up food prices. We've got a pandemic going on, that's driving up food prices. The cost of fuel and energy is very high right now, which is also contributing to high food prices. So this year, global food prices are currently at their highest level in 46 years, since the mid-1970s. So that leaves us very vulnerable to, like Anna was saying, if you've got a extreme weather shock, a drought most likely, or potentially a flood in a major grain producing area, then that could drive food prices to a level where now people can't afford to buy food in some parts of the developing world. We saw this back in 2011 in the wake of the Russian and Ukraine heat wave. Incredible heat wave in 2010 made the wheat prices go through the roof, and Russia stopped exporting wheat. Global wheat prices exploded, and we ended up with civil unrest and multiple revolutions in the Arab world. It was called the Arab Spring. So you saw at least 3 governments topple and rioting in a bunch of places because of high food prices. And right now, food prices are even higher than they were then. So we're at a very vulnerable situation. And I'm concerned in 2022 that with the ongoing pandemic, food prices are at a point where we really can't afford to see a huge heat wave someplace or massive flooding that interrupts grain supplies. I'm concerned that we're going to have a situation where, once again, an Arab Spring type situation will result, where there'll be mass unrest, potentially starvation as well, famine, because we won't be able to feed everybody. So this is the #1 threat of climate change right now in the next few or 10 years or so. It's multiple extreme weather events causing global food prices to spike to a point where now we can't feed everybody. And the vulnerability is only going to increase in coming years because the weather is going to get more extreme and we're going to get more vulnerable. There's population increases, more people eating meat, and it's all going to cause a crisis, I think, that we've never seen the likes of. So that's not a very cheerful thing to say, but it's the reality. And certainly there are a lot of people working very hard to reduce our vulnerability. There's a lot of great research being done to develop higher yielding grains. There's a lot of technology going into trying to grow food more efficiently. Certainly, genetic engineering is attempting to improve the process of actually photosynthesis to grow more beneficial grains. But that is a problem because a lot of people don't accept genetically modified foods. That will have trouble with acceptance in a lot of countries. So huge problem. We're working hard on solutions, and we just have to be ready to anticipate that this all could blow up and be a very serious global crisis due to extreme weather triggered by climate change, making things much more vulnerable than they ordinarily would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In one of our previous discussion tables, there was one host who mentioned development of these vertical hydroponic farms, but also mentioned that at present the costs are too high for, let's say, the local governments or the local investors to realize this. And coming to this, don't you think, and this is a question for...
Grow to feed people, it goes to create ethanol, which is used for fuel. That just does not make sense. I mean, with the energy revolution happening now with clean energy, we don't need to be...
For my opinion, the governments, mostly, they are making with such type of the problems. Recently, where I am living in Pakistan, the KP are searching for the last 20 years. They are decreasing because of the weather, because of the extreme weather, because the sugar can need much water. And now the water is because of the climate or another different types of vegetables and so many other things. But it is important again that they can take some initiatives to educate the people because about the issue of climate and the near future disasters.
Sorry, Anna, we are going to have issues with food, and we obviously can't see the government acting in this way.
There's a lot of interference. In particular, there's a lot of bots that are out there, robots that are out trying to promote actors out there, media that make things more difficult to communicate. So I don't have any answers on this.
In the context of the climate change, the connection of the people between the go and the rest of, and most of the children I have visited one. So I asked from a children that, are you going to school? And he told me that, no, I'm not going to school. So I told him, what's you are working? He told me that I'm bringing water, fresh water from the town to my village for my home and for my the rest of the people. So the question is that if the government is, again, the situation in Afghanistan, you people know better about that for the last 40, 50 years, they are in conflict situation with the Soviet Union, the United States, and then again, the Taliban. And so all of these issues, so how the people of Afghanistan can contain the issue of climate change. Second, that how there is still no government in Afghanistan. The Taliban have made the government, but the people have not trusted. The people don't have trust on them. Mostly the people don't trust on them. So how they can connect with each other to make the policies for their economic benefits, for their agricultural benefits, and so many people. So it is important for to become a democratic state. Before that the people have the regions for their own self. They have right to speech freely. If the people have no such type of rights, so how they can connect with the government and make the policy? So it is important before that the people and government must be on one page to contain any issue, any problem. So in the Kabul river issue, in 2010 there was a huge flood, and millions of people on both sides they were affected by the climate issue because of that flood. So at local the people were fighting with each other because the river divert their area, increase in some area. They increase their location or their strength, and in some areas on the other side, in Afghanistan side, their areas or their weight is low. So they are claiming on both sides. The people claiming that the area which is on your side, this is our land. Because so the people say that no, it is because of the climate change. It is because of the flood. Why we gave you this? So this is the problems. And at local level, there is no policy with the government. If there is no government, then how they can make the policy for the people? So before that it is important for the people that for the government that they can make a policies. First, they connect with the people, make a democratic structure, and on the basis of that, they united and identify the problem and then make the solution for these problems. So it is important for that context.
Thank you so much, dear guests, for your opinions. It is really important for us, for everyone, I mean, to hear each other, to know what do we like this humanity, the whole humanity, what do we think about the world we live in, how we see the world we want to live in. And here is the situation that we have lots of crises, different crises in almost every sphere of our lives, but actually we understand that we all are responsible for it, yes, and we should just also understand that maybe, well, even if someone of us is trying to change the situation, but it is so hard because we are so divided, and we are divided in groups, in countries, and so on. And we just now came to this understanding, and we are continuing this this process of understanding the thing that how it is important for every one of us to be united, to unite all
كل إمكانياتنا البشرية
potential
لتكون قادرة على البقاء في جميع هذه الأزمات، وخاصة في تغيير المناخ. أود فقط أن أدعو الجميع إلى مشاهدة الفيديو القصير من المؤتمر الأزمة العالمية وقت الحقيقة، والذي يوضح لنا تنسيق مجتمعنا حيث نعيش فيه، والحل الوحيد الذي لدينا اليوم الإنسانية. سباقات مختلفة، الجنسيات والأديان، لكننا جميعا نبرز في نفس القارب، وهذا المحيط الحياة وقدر المستهلكين الذين تمتص جميعهم، الذين اتخذت سفينتنا المشتركة اليوم أن يقودنا إلى الفضل.
Humanity various races, nationalities, religions, but we are all sailing in the same boat in this ocean of life. And the course of all-absorbing consumerism, which our common ship has taken today, is leading us to precipice. Just a little longer, and we will irreversibly fall into the abyss of economic, social, and climate catastrophes. Perhaps someone doesn't want to see.
ربما شخص ما لا يريد أن يرى والاعتراف بالحقائق الواضحة، ومع ذلك فإن الخوف من الدوران ورؤية الواقع في الاندفاع الذي لا نهاية له، في الروتين اليومي العادي، في السباق للنجاح والبقاء على قيد الحياة في هذا العالم من الاستهلاكية. لكن كل يوم أكثر وأكثر من الناس يتوقفون ويطلبون أنفسهم هذه الأسئلة: أين يأتي هذا العالم؟ ماذا تعتقد المستقبل لي ولأطفالي؟ كيف يمكننا التأكد من أن العالم سيكون آمناً مكاناً سعيد ومزدهر؟ بعد كل شيء، بغض النظر عن مدى نجاحك، إذا كان العالم كله ينهار، فلا توجد طريقة يمكنك تجنب مصير مريض. يمكننا تغيير مسار سفينتنا التي تسرح فيها الهاوية، وبدلاً من الهاوية من استهلاكها توجيهها في اتجاه المجتمع المبدع. ولكن يمكننا أن نفعل فقط معا. نحن بحاجة إلى توحيد إمكانياتنا البشرية الجماعية. تصبح حضارة تابعة لها في اتجاه واحد، توحد في هدف مشترك. نحن نحتاج إلى توجيه انتباهنا وجهودنا ومعرفتنا ومهاراتنا لرسم مسار جديد. وكيف يمكننا القيام بذلك بسرعة يعتمد على اختيار كل شخص خاص، هو فقط وحدتنا، فقط في خلال العمل معا. هل يمكننا بناء العالم لائق حقا؟ عالم سيكون له مستقبل بالنسبة لنا وأطفالنا، وهذا هو المجتمع الإبداعي. لا يزال لدينا فرصة، لذلك دعونا نأخذها.
Yes, as we've seen in the videos, we are at the edge of, we can say, one of the most, the biggest crisis in history. Some people say that people don't unite unless there is a crisis. However, the aim of all of the participants of creative society, it is to ensure that we can unite or provide the conditions that people can unite even before this crisis happen, until we have time, you know. And I would like to ask Dr. Masters, what do you think, what can we do to inform all of the people? I mean, to tell them the truth and to unite before it is too late.
The most important thing any citizen can do, a citizen of the world, is to share your knowledge that you're getting from conferences like this.
أهم شيء يمكن لأي مواطن فعله هو مواطن في العالم هو مشاركة معرفتك أنك تحصل من المؤتمرات مثل هذا هو تثقيف الناس. أعني إن كنت مهتما بما يكفي لتقوم بمشاهدة هذا، فأنت تعلم قليلا عن أزمة المناخ، ونحن بحاجة حقا إلى التعليم. هناك الكثير من الأشخاص الجاهلين الذين لا يفهمون حجم حيث نحن فيه وأين نتجه، وبالتالي كلما يمكنك إشراك الآخرين في فهم ما يحدث واتخاذ الإجراءات لدعم القادة الذين سيفعلون شيئا حيال ذلك، كلما كان أفضل حالا. لذا انتخاب القادة أو دعم القادة الذين سيفعلون شيئا حيال ذلك، تثقيف الآخرين للمساعدة في الحصول على القادة في مكان أو أن يصبحوا زعيما لنفسه. نعم، أنت على حق. وأيضا عن القادة، لأنني حقا أعتقد أن كل واحد منا يمكن أن يصبح هذه الرئادة، بمعنى أن تكون مسؤولا كما تعلم، مسؤول عن أفعالك الخاصة. لما تفعله؟ لماذا تفعل؟ وفي هذا الهدف واحدة للإنسانية بأسره. يمكن أن نقول جميعا حقا مثل القادة الذين لديهم هدف واحد فقط للتقييم. كما تعلمون، مثل حضارة واحدة متحدة إلى البقاء على قيد الحياة. كل هذه الأشياء التي تحدث مع المناخ حسنا، كل شيء بالعنف. أنت تعرف من الجوع بكل هذه الأشياء الرائعة التي تحدث في هذا التنسيق المستهدف. يمكننا جميعا أن تكون القادة الذي يغير الوضع عن طريق تغيير أنفسنا وتغيير حياتنا وتغيير أفعالنا. أود أن أسأل عزيزي السيد ألين، ما رأيك في أهمية كل شخص أن المسؤول في العالم وأن يكون شجاعا؟ وأنت تعرف لا تخشى التحدث، لأنه عندما نعرف الحقيقة نحن لا نتحدث عن ذلك، لا ننتقل، نحن لا نحملها إلى أشخاص آخرين، أو ربما لا نريد أن نرى هذه الحقيقة، نريد فقط أن نغمض أعيننا ونقول أننا لا نعرف شيئا كما تعلم. ولكن في الواقع نشعر دائما، يمكننا أن نشعر أن هناك شيء ما يحدث لا ترى حتى إذا كنا نرى. إذا ما رأيك ومدى أهمية أن تكون الناس كما تعلمون أبطال حقيقيين؟
What do you think? How important it is for people to be like, real heroes who are telling the truth nowadays to everyone?
أبطال حقيقيين يخبرون بالحقيقة في الوقت الحاضر للجميع. نعم، الناس في كل مكان في العالم بأسره يمكنهم التغيير، يمكنهم إحداث التغيير. ولكن إذا كنت متحدون دون دين، دون أي تقليد وعمر مخصص، عندما توحد الناس التغيير ويمكنهم إجراء الحكومات، وهم يجبرون الحكومات والقادة على أنهم يستطيعون أخذ المبادرات والاستجابة الإيجابية، وما الذي يجعل السياسات الإيجابية. ولكن من المهم والجمعية الإبداعية يفعل الكثير لذلك. هذا هو منتدى على أساس العالم الذي يأتي إلى توحيد وآمال في الأشهر القليلة القادمة. سيكون العالم بأسره تحت مظلة المجتمع الإبداعي. لكن الشيء المهم هو أنه قيل له أن التعليم مهم جدا. التعليم يلعب دورا مهما للغاية في هذا السياق. من المهم للغاية أن يأخذ المجتمع الإبداعي بعض المبادرات داخل المدرسة والكلية والجامعة، ويمكنهم أيضا إن المتطوعين الذين يعملون مع المجتمع الإبداعي يجري جزءا من المجتمع، يبلغون ويمكنهم العمل من أجلهم، يقومون بتثقيف الناس حول مسألة تغيير المناخ من منتدى المجتمع الإبداعي. لذلك عندما يصل هذا الحكمة إلى كل مدرسة، كل كلية، كل جامعة، ثم لا يوجد أحد لوقف التغيير.
The planet will change us, and at that time we have no time. When the world or the planet bring change, it is important that because we are not here just for living, but we are here just to live a good life and think about and understand this world. That's why we are here. So if we bring such awareness, not in a particular forum, but start from our own self, from our own brother, sister, from our own home, then university, colleges, and one day it will change. It is important that we must start from ourselves, and when we make something for this planet, we work for this planet, so people will look toward us, and one day they will this creative society, they will rock.
Yes, thank you, Aftab.
نعم، شكرا لك، وأنا أتفق معك تماما أنه من الضروري أن يتم إبلاغ الناس أن يكونوا تعليما جيدا كما تعلمون، لأنه فقط بناء على التعليم، بناء على المعلومات، يمكننا القيام بالقرار، يمكننا أن نفعل خيارنا، لن يكون السلبي بعد الآن، ولكن كما تعلمون تبدأ في التصرف وحتى عن طريق إبلاغ الآخرين. نحن نتصرف بالفعل في الواقع، ولهذا السبب أعزائي المشاهدين ضيوفنا الكرام، أود أن أدعو الجميع إلى مشاهدة مرة أخرى المؤتمر الذي حدث في ديسمبر كانون الأول، لأنه مليء بالمعلومات والدليل العلمي على ما يجري، ولكن ليس فقط ذلك، ولكن أيضا نتائج الوضع الحالي كما تعلم، والتي توفر صور كاملة تستند إلى ما يمكننا اتخاذ هذا القرار. وأيضا أود أن أشجع الجميع، إذا كان لديك أي تعليقات، أي أسئلة أو أي مقترحات، لا تتردد فقط في إسقاط لنا رسالة البريد الإلكتروني. يمكنك أيضا الاتصال بنا عبر creativesociety.com، وسنكون سعداء بتضمين إنستغرام أو تويتر ونتعرف على تعليقاتكم وأسئلتكم في الجداول المستديرة التالية في المناقشات مع ضيوفنا الكرام، ومن سيكون سعداء بالإجابة عليهم أو معالجتهم. نعم، شكرا جزيلا لك، شكرا جزيلا لك ولضيوفنا الأعزاء. لتأتي هذه المرة معا قضاء هذه المرة والتحدث عن أهم الأمور التي تهتم حقا كل شخص. وشكرا لأعزائي المشاهدين وللجميع. أريد فقط أن أذكر أنه عندما نتحدث عن المتطوعين الذين ينظمون جميع هذه المناقشات والمؤتمرات، نعني أنها ليست مثل منظمة واحدة، مجموعة من الناس. نحن ندعو المتطوعين لأننا نفعل ذلك لأننا نريد تغيير العالم، لأننا نريد أن نعيش ونريد أن نحيا بسعادة، ونحن بحاجة إلى هذا التطور وللجميع، ونعلم كيف نفعل ذلك. ونسبة للأشخاص الذين جاءوا للحل، ونحتاج فقط لمشاركته مع الجميع حتى يتمكن الجميع من إمكانية اختيار هذا العالم الذي نريد أن نعيش فيه. وأنا متأكدة من أنه لا يوجد أحد يقول أنه لا يريد أن يعيش في المجتمع الإبداعي، لأنه الأسس الثمانية للمجتمع الإبداعي هي تلك المؤسسات التي تبني حياتنا الإنسانية حقا. لذلك فقط انضم إلى المشروع المجتمع الإبداعي. أدعو الجميع إلى الانضمام إلينا للحديث، وفقط أقول الحقيقة والتأكيد بالمعلومات مع كل من تعرفه، لأن هذه مهمتنا هي الإنسانية اليوم، أن نتحد وحضارة واحدة للبقاء على قيد الحياة. وحتى وقتنا هذا وقت الحقيقة. شكرا جزيلا للجميع، وأراك في المناقشة الدولية القادمة.